Hey folks, I feel like the holidays are made for watching reruns. So I threw together some of my favorite old videos and put them into a 4-part series. You're gonna see some of my very early bushcraft videos that are fairly roughly edited all the way through some of my more current van camping. I think you'll enjoy the evolution for those people that are fairly new to the channel, and for those guys that have been following for a long time, you'll find some little bit of nostalgia in watching some of the old content. I hope you're all having a great holidays. Enjoy the videos, and we'll see you in the next year. Alright, so we're heading up today. I'm meeting up with Coyote Works and Todd from Central Oregon Survival Network. They're supposed to be up here in the mountain somewhere. Kind of just screwing around, building a shelter. So they gave me a little bit of directions. I couldn't get up here as early as they could. I had a little work to do this morning. So now I'm going to try to see if I can hook up with them. Alright guys, so I got up here, I hooked up. I got Casey with Coyote Works channel, and I've got Todd with Central Oregon Survival Network with me, and they're working on building a little shelter that they can kind of utilize in and out for the year, and just have a place that they can come up to and have something kind of already set up a little bit. So we're just going to kind of dink around and work on this a little bit, and I'll kind of bring you guys in on it. You guys hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so I was working my way through this log, just trying to make myself a little flat spot to work on. And it's full of these little wood grubs. And I've ate a couple already. And really good. But this is a good find. I wasn't even looking for it, but I'll definitely kind of keep my eye out for this kind of stuff later in the future.
Todd from Central Oregon Survival Network is on the inside of the shelter. How is it in there? How'd it come out?
It's nice, very nice.
You can feel the heat from the fire.
Yeah, this would be a great spot. Overnighters easy. Yeah.
So our shelter's pretty much complete, and we just wanted to go over a couple of things about it. So this is what we consider an extreme cold weather shelter. This shelter is designed so that it'll take the heat from the fire and circulate it up into the shelter. So what's really important about that design is that the roof of the shelter slopes downward and forward towards the fire. That way the heat from the fire comes up inside the shelter, and I'll demonstrate here what happens. So the heat from the fire hits the roof of the shelter, it travels up the roof of the shelter, and as that air cools, it drops down on top of you inside the shelter. So you get this convection effect inside the shelter. The traditional shelters, where you just do a lean-to like this, don't as efficiently heat. Heat tends to hit that shelter, and then, as you guys know, heat rises. So heat wants to rise and move out of that shelter, so it takes much more fire to efficiently heat a lean-to shelter. You switch that pitch of the roof, it takes a little bit more effort, but now it'll be really comfortable in there. That shelter you can sleep in 0 degrees and have, well, maybe not a super comfortable night, but be nice and comfortable.
So what you putting together there, Todd?
Well, this is the bushcraft little grill I made, or bush grill, to bring out to cook some steaks on.
Now you have a video on that, right?
I do.
When you built that, so
Yeah, I do.
if somebody's interested in taking a look how you put that together, they can go check out your channel.
Yep, then go check out the channel. I got a video on it, and basically, like I said, I just made it because I wanted to be able to cook out here, basically cook a steak. I know there's other production grills out there, and they're kind of light duty, and I think this one's going to last me a long time. And it might be a little bit heavy, but it works out really well. So we're going to actually try this out. I've actually only cooked water on it so far, you know, I had the pot on it. So and now we've got some steaks, some T-bones, and we're going to throw them on there and see how it works.
There.
Yeah, pretty good.
Sounds like it's sizzling pretty good.
Take it slow.
All right, so we're just munching on some steak here that Todd brought up, using a little community bushcraft fork that Casey made, and then I'm using my well, it's not actually mine, it's a knife that William Collins from William Collins' channel. He's a knife maker. He sent me this to try out. I'm looking to buy a knife from him, and so far I've been using this knife today, and I really like it. It's been really handy to use. I want to use it on a few more things, but just around camp and stuff that I've used it, I've been really happy with it. I mean, and it's cutting through this steak like it's butter. Alright, so we're packed up, we're heading out. We're going to leave the shelter up. Possibly we'll be back next weekend to actually do an overnight to kind of, today was more about just kind of getting some setup done. But yeah, it's going to be a nice setup, and I think we're going to enjoy using this throughout the whole rest of the year. So I hope you enjoyed us putting this together, and you know, if you want to check out some, you know, some other still photos and pictures and stuff that I'm going to throw up, check out my Facebook. And I'll throw up some still photos and things of what we did here as well. But anyways, until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, so I'm back up in the same location that I was up here yesterday with Casey and Todd, and schedules permitting, we're planning the three of us to come back up next weekend and camp and stay the night up here. So I decided I would come up today and spend a little bit of time just trying to get an area for me set up. Now, it's not my intention to set up a natural shelter like what they did. I basically am going to use my oilskin tarp but I do want to set up some framework for it so that way of when I come up here, it's just pretty much just throw it over the top and tie it down and be done. And one of the things that I have found, you know, especially winter camping and coming out and trying to video for you guys, is I just run out of time. And when I've got all these ideas in my mind of things I want to do when I get up here, but I run out of time trying to video it, and then what ends up happening is I don't get my camp set up the way I want it, and I end up kind of having somewhat of a miserable night. So I'm going to try to avoid that by just getting some of this stuff done today. So that way, when next weekend when I come up here with Casey and Todd, if, like I said, if schedules permit, I won't have so much. I won't be running around, and I'll have a nice camp and hopefully a very enjoyable time up here with them, and an enjoyable night, you know, sleeping, because I won't be, you know, miserable because I don't have a good camp. But we'll get started. I've got 2 trees here that I'm going to work with. These are going to be the base supports. I kind of picked this location because between these 2 trees, it's somewhat flat. It's not perfect, but it is somewhat flat through here. And there's some trees behind me that offer some natural wind protection. And then it kind of goes up a hill behind there, and then there's a hill that goes up over here. So if I have my tarp and kind of have it down, I should have pretty good wind protection coming from this way. And then I'll set out my fire in front of me and my fire block, you know, there. So let's get started. Okay, so I've cleared this area. I limbed up these trees a little bit. The next thing I want to do is there's a tree down over here on the ground that I want to cut to length that I can tie between these 2 trees, so that way I have a solid ridge pole. So that's going to be the next step. doing here is I'm just quickly tying off the tarp just temporarily. I just kind of want to test this to see how high my ridgepole is, to see if I need to adjust it up or down before I go ahead and securely tie this ridgepole to the trees. Okay, so I've got this set up. The tarp is set up. As you can see, it's, you know, sagging really hard, bad right now. And the reason why is, like I said, I'm just temporarily setting this up. This isn't, I'm just gonna actually take it down right now and pack it back up in my pack. So I'm not staying out here tonight. I'm losing light really fast, and there's just no way I'm gonna get enough stuff done here before it starts to get dark to make myself comfortable and have an enjoyable night out here. So I'm just going to try to get a few more things done, and the next thing I'm going to try to do, now that I'm comfortable with this, the height of this ridgepole, is I'm going to go ahead and get it secured. So we'll get on to that next, and I think that will probably be it for today, and I'll have to start thinking about packing out of here because it's going to start getting dark on me. Okay, so what I use to tie this up with is some twine called sizzle twine. It's very similar to jute twine in the fact that it's a natural fiber, but you can get a bigger roll. I found that you can buy a whole lot bigger roll of it than you can buy of jute twine, and it seems to be a bit stronger material to me. And the reason why I like using a natural fiber like this is if I never return or come back out here again, this stuff will just rot away, and this whole setup will just basically become, you know, fall down and just become part of nature again. Alright guys, so I'm packed up, I'm ready to head out of here. I didn't get quite as much done on the shelter frame as I'd liked, you know, just constraints in time. It was kind of a last minute decision for me to decide to come out here today, and I didn't get out here till a little after noon. And with the filming and everything, it just makes it really hard for me to, you know, get much done very quickly. So, and I didn't really want to push myself and feel under pressure the whole time, so I kind of took my time too. But when we come back up here next weekend, you know, if everything permits, we'll come back up here next weekend. We'll get a little bit more done on, we'll get more done on this, and hopefully get finished with it, get the shelter set up, and then we'll start working on the fire area and get that set up. And I'm hoping to get, you know, the shelter area set up and the fire area all set up by end of next weekend, and that will be another video. And then we can start doing some other projects here, and that was kind of the purpose of this camp in the first place. Is I did a video earlier in the year, or late last year, I guess, late last year since we're in the new year, about deer hunting and woodcraft, and I built a little table, and there was a lot of interest in how I built that and wanted to see more in-depth videos. And that's kind of the purpose of this camp, is I want to get all this stuff done so that way I can just come up here, throw up my tarp, be pretty much ready to go, and then we can kind of play with and do some other projects like that. And that's going to be kind of the theme of my channel here, probably through the dead of the winter. Just kind of coming up here and doing some type of little woodcraft, bushcraft type project, and then, you know, once we start kind of getting more into spring and the summer, then I want to start getting back into, you know, backpacking. There's some mountains I want to climb that are on my list. Backcountry fishing, I did a little bit of that last year, and I definitely want to do a lot more. I bought a float tube, and I want to get really into getting into some of those remote lakes and doing some backcountry fishing. And, you know, of course, hunting is always high priority on my mind. I've got a whole new area that I want to scout this year for my week off of elk season that I'm really excited about. So there will be videos on that. So there's a lot to come with, but like I said, for the foreseeable, for the winter part of the foreseeable future, we'll be doing a lot of woodcraft type bushcraft stuff in this camp. So I hope you guys will look forward to that, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, so we're back up at our bush camp, and I want to get started on part 2 of getting this shelter up. I do plan on camping here tonight, so I want to get this thing going, and I also want to get a fire reflector built so that I can have a nice enjoyable night here tonight. I don't know if the other guys are going to make it. I know Todd picked up a cold through the week. He said he might try to get up here for the day, and Casey I know ended up having to work part of the day today, but I did get a text from him this morning saying that he was going to try to get up here around noon. So that's all up in the air as far as anybody else going to be up here with me for tonight. But I'm here, and I do want to get this shelter done, so let's get started on it. Okay, so I've got a log here that I want to use as my cross support on where the 2 angled logs come down. I've already kind of picked this log up, shook it around a little bit just to make sure that it wasn't too rotted and going to fall apart on me. So I'm going to cut this thing into a section long enough to go across there, and then next we'll get this, show you how I'm going to get it attached to those logs. All right, so a little change in plan. I've decided that what I'm going to do is put this log down here. Now, my original intention was to set the log right here and go across this way and putting a support across the middle. But after further thought on that, I decided that was kind of pointless for me to do that because I've got center tie-out points on the tarp, and I'm going to be tying that out to a tree out this way, which will be pulling the back of the tarp out anyhow, and that center support would basically be doing nothing. But I did still want to use this log, I decided, so I put it down here below, and I'm going to actually kind of wrap the tarp over this log and wrap the tarp over this log this way, coming back under. And I think that will give me more usable space inside there, along with, like I said, the tarp being tied out. So the first thing I need to do is there's several knots on these logs that I need to get taken care of and get it cleaned up so I don't end up poking a hole in my tarp going around this. So I'm going to get my axe out and take care of that. Alright, so what I intend to do now is I'm going to tie the ends to each other. So I'm going to go around this log here and around the back log, and I'll just tie these 2 ends together and pull them tight using a trucker's knot, and then I'll pull the tarp tight, and then what I'll do is I'll tie off the 2 center points to the trees in the back. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a clove hitch and use a toggle at the bottom here. The little stop knot so that it won't pull through. That will hold the bottom. Now then at the top, all I have to do is run this through there, and I'll pull it down tight. And just do kind of like a trucker's hitch right there on that tie out. I can just reinforce that, but that'll make that nice and tight. And I'll go ahead and do that all the way down my 4 tie outs, and then I'll make it nice and tight around both logs. All right, so we pretty much got everything set up as far as the shelter is concerned now. You know, one thing I added was this log here in front of the shelter that kind of just gives me a place to sit when I'm in front of the fire, and I'm gonna actually carve in and put a flat spot on this log so it's a little bit more comfortable to sit, and I can use it as kind of a table. One other thing too before I bed down for tonight is I'm going to take some of the fir boughs that I cut off these two trees here when I limbed them up, and I'm going to take them and spread them out inside here and before I put my bivvy down and everything. So the next thing I got to yet do is build a fire reflector. I'm not going to video that today because I'm just going to build kind of a temporary one, and in a future video we'll build a better one that will kind of wrap the front of the camp a little bit better. So, but that's kind of more than I want to try to pull off today. I still need to gather a bunch of firewood and everything and before I'm ready to stay the night here. As it is right now, just to kind of go over a couple of things, you know, I've got the tarp all the way to this side of the frame, and that's mainly because this tree here has got some pretty good branch overhang, which offers me an extra level of protection from the elements. Plus it gives me a nice view of this hillside that's over to my left here, and I've already was blessed by a couple locals walking through. Unfortunately, I didn't have my good camera with me, but I did have my old camcorder in my pocket, so I was able to get some footage of a couple of mule deer does feeding along the hillside there. So that was kind of neat, and so I'm hoping that if I'm sitting here and just kind of quiet, that I may get the opportunity to see more wildlife as they pass by here. But that will kind of conclude what I'm doing for the shelter part. Like I said, I am going to stay the night here, and that will be kind of a video on its own. But in future videos, we'll just continue to improve upon this location and improve upon things and build some other things, like maybe a table or some other useful things for this camp. But right now we'll call her a day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, so I'm up in the mountains again. I got this shelter. If you've been following my bushcraft series, you can see the two videos that I put together that showing me putting this shelter together, the framework and everything. But this video is kind of more about the camp experience and getting set up and camping overnight in the shelter. So I still got a few things to do before this evening before it gets dark, and it looks like maybe we got possibly some weather moving in. It was kind of sunny when I got here this morning, but now it's about mid-afternoon, and it's pretty much clouded over, completely clouded over. So I need to finish getting the fire put in. As you can see right now, I did dig out a spot down to bare earth, and now I just need to set up a little reflector that I can use to kind of reflect the heat back into my tarp setup. I also need to just finish some things in here. I've got some boughs that I took down when I trimmed up these trees on each side of me. And I'm just going to lay them down inside here, and then I'll put my bivvy and sleep mat and everything on top of them. And their main purpose of them is just to keep my bivvy and everything from getting dirty. So, but anyhow, I want to get this fire thing set up and get it going, and I still need to gather a bunch of wood. So that's kind of where we're at, and I need to get busy. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just walking around trying to find pieces of dead wood like this. Ones that are nice and waterlogged actually are kind of nice to use to build up my fire reflector. So I just need to go walk around and grab a few more chunks like this, and I'll have just about have my fire reflector done. All right, so I'm done building my fire reflector, and it's not very high. And the reason why is I'm probably going to tear this thing down and rebuild it the next time I come up here. And I want to move the camera around to where you can get a better view of the whole camp, and I'm going to show you a reason why, and that's because I found a slight problem with the way I've kind of got things set up. So let me move the camera, and then we'll look at, and I'll show you what's wrong with this setup. All right, so now that you can see the whole setup here, the problem that I'm going to have here with the fire pit the way it is and the tarp on this side is this tree. Now, when I originally set this up, I was thinking to myself, okay, this tree is going to add some natural cover, and so I'll put the tarp on this side to take advantage of that. But the problem is I've got these branches overhead here, and they are fairly close and over where my fire is going to be at. So I had to actually move the fire pit back further than I want. As you can see, I'm a good solid 2 paces with the reflector from my fire, and I'd really like to have it a little bit closer, and so that my fire would be more along the lines of right here, and my reflector probably more along the lines of right here, so that I would get more heat from the fire. As it is right now, I was forced to kind of move everything out. So next time I come up here, what I'm going to do is, instead of having the tarp on this side of the framework, I'm going to move the tarp over to this side of the framework, and I'll trim a couple of branches on this tree, but it will allow me to have the fire and the reflector a little bit closer where I can achieve more heat from it. And that will probably be better anyways, because of the fact that this tree is providing me natural shelter. The side that's open on the framework will still have some amount of shelter because of this tree. So I think that will be a better setup altogether. Now, I'd also planned anyhow to rebuild this fire reflector, just because of the fact that I kind of want one that's going to kind of circle a little bit more around the camp. And I didn't have time to do that today anyway, so the fact that I'm going to rebuild this next weekend is not a big deal. And the fact that it's not real big is not real big problem today or tonight, because it's really fairly warm. It's not going to get that cold, and I don't plan on having the fire going all night long to stay warm. But if I am out here and it starts getting down pretty cold, I do want it a little bit closer, and I want to get a little bit more of a half moon effect around, so that way I can get more heat into my shelter. All right, so I've come down to this little creek here. It's not too far from my camp, and I'm going to fill my dromedary bag full of water for the night, so that I have hopefully enough water for food and some tea tonight, and also be able to get me some food and tea in the morning, so I don't have to come down here first. But I may have to. I mean, I may not have enough, but like I said, I'm going to get this thing full, and then I'm also going to top off my water bottle too and make sure that it's full, and also drink my fill of water, so that I don't have to come down here again, at least tonight. All right, so what I'm doing here is, these are the dry chips of wood that I was able to get out of the logs that I bucked up today with the axe, and these are all nice and dry. So what I'm going to do is use them and processing them down into some feathers and some small kindling that I can use to help kind of get my fire going. Alright, so yeah, it's gotten obviously really dark. I finally got to a point now that I can, I got my food cooking on the fire and some water getting ready to boil, and I got my bivvy and everything in the location. I'll try to show you that more in the morning since it's so dark right now. But I also piled up a stack of firewood between the fire and the fire reflector to try to get it to dry out because so much of the wood is wet. But yeah, it's just been a busy day, so finally it's kind of nice to be in a spot that where I can kind of relax and enjoy the fire and eat some food. I'm just absolutely starving. I've got what's in the tin foil there, if you notice that in the fire, is some leftovers from the night before, some bits of steak and onion and mushrooms and turnip in there, and so I'm just going to rewarm that on the fire and get some hot tea going, and I'm just going to sit back and relax for the rest of the night. So I thought I'd show you guys real quick what's for dinner tonight. Again, some steak bits and mushroom and turnip, and it's all in butter and olive oil. Should be really good. Anyways, I'm going to get to eating it while it's hot, and I will talk to you guys later. Alright, so I think I'm going to call it a night. It's a little bit before 9, which is fairly early, but I'm exhausted. I ate some, drank some tea. My fire's going really well, and I put a couple really big logs on it. I don't expect it to last through the night by any means, but I'll at least keep it going for a little while, and hopefully when I wake up in the morning there will be coals to make it easy to start. So anyhow, we'll just call it a night. Alright, so it's morning time. Thought my fire didn't stay going all night, of course, and there's not any coals to even get it started this morning, so I've gathered up a few things. I've got some smalls here, and I don't know how well you guys can see all this. I got my flashlight here, but got some smalls here and some dry pine needles and a cotton ball here, and let's see if we can't get this thing fired back up. I didn't go over the fire making too much last night because, quite honestly, by the time I was getting around to it, I was just kind of wanting to get things done. These pine needles are just a little bit damp. Usually these things would work really well, but like I said, they're just a little bit damp this morning, so even my smalls are a little bit damp on the outside. I think they're fairly dry once I can kind of get the morning dew off of them. I have some more of the wood chips here that from the logs I cut, so we'll put them on because they're fairly dry. I think it's going pretty good. Anyways, I'll just keep working on it, but yeah, things are just a little bit damp around here. Took a little work, but got it done. Alright, so I've got some water going here. It's actually my second pot that I've got on to boil. I already made myself some tea. Last night, you know, we slept really good. I'll show you the sleep system here in just a minute. But yeah, it was warm. I slept toasty warm all night. I slept comfortable. You know, other than waking up a few times just to roll over or something like that, you know, it was a really pleasant night. So I'm going to get this water boiled up so I can have a mountain house, and then we'll go over the sleep system. All right, so while I'm waiting for my water to finish boiling for my mountain house, I thought I'd go over real quick the sleeping setup I had. Now, first thing I'll point out is you can see here I've got some green boughs in here. It's not real thick. It was just basically enough to where it kind of kept my bivvy and sleep system out of the dirt. So it wasn't really there for comfort, or, you know, to fill it up for comfort, because you got to have a lot of boughs to do that. And I just wanted to basically have enough to keep it out of the dirt. So the second thing I have here is this is an Italian wool blanket that you can find on eBay. You know, they're around $60 or $70. They're 100% wool. You know, it's a nice blanket. I like it. It does have a fairly mothbally smell to it that I think will probably dissipate, you know, with use and just getting it out and in the air. And the main reason why I like to have the wool blanket, you know, it's actually obviously provides some more extra warmth factor, but it's also a nice barrier between the fire and my MSS bivvy, to make sure that if any kind of sparks fly out, that they hit this wool blanket, which will be able to handle that a lot better than this bivvy will. I don't want to end up with a bunch of pinholes in my bivvy, so that's why I kind of like to have the blanket over the top as just kind of a protective layer. So then obviously secondly I had my MSS bivvy, and then I'm using the MSS intermediate bag under that. So that made for, you know, with the wool blanket and all that, it made, you know, I was toasty warm last night. And then underneath that I have my Thermarest self-inflating mattress under that. So yeah, very comfortable, made for a very, very comfortable warm night. All right, so breakfast is done. We're having the breakfast skillet, Mountain House breakfast skillet this morning. And even though it doesn't look extremely appetizing, it actually tastes not too bad. Though I think anything kind of tastes good when you're out in the woods and you're hungry. So anyhow, I'm going to get this eaten, and then I'm going to probably start tearing down camp so that I can make sure I get out of here on time. I have to help my wife with some stuff this afternoon, or actually early morning. Not early morning, but around noon, actually. Around noon, so I need to kind of get out of here and get back home so I can be home in time to help her. But anyways, there's a few things about the camp I'd like to change, and I mean, overall it was pretty good, but the fire pit was a little further away from the camp than I would like, so I am going to, like I said earlier, I'm going to move everything over, and and kind of rebuild the wall and the reflector and put the fire a bit closer. But other than that, I think this is going to be a nice camp, and I look forward to spending a lot more time here. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed watching this, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy watch this series as we do more with the camp. Like I said, the next one we'll spend time rebuilding that reflector. Got some crows coming overhead. But we'll rebuild that reflector, and then we'll get on to doing some other little projects around the camp. So anyways, until the next video, guys, I'll see you guys later. And we got Bruce from Nature Calls, and of course Coyote Works is with me. Bruce came down from Seattle, had to drive quite a ways to come spend a little time at the bush camp with us.
Yeah, awesome.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I saw you guys doing your videos on these camps, and had to come see them, and fortunately you guys were kind enough to let them come down. So, but yeah, you guys are doing some really cool stuff. Really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, me and Bruce are hammocking, and Casey's actually down in the survival bush shelter, or whatever we call it, the guest house. I don't whatever we call it. But yeah, it's been a great time, and really enjoyed it so far. We got one more night here, and or at least me and Bruce do. Unfortunately, Casey has to take off later today, but yeah, it's going to be great, and we're looking forward to one more night in the camp. And
I have to say, though, it has felt a little empty without Central Oregon Survival Network and his Native American flute music.
I know. I think that it would have really helped if they it really would have helped with my creative skills if I would have had a little bit of Native American flute going on in the background.
I think so, and I think Bruce was taken aback a little bit. Since we missed the flute music, we tried to make up for it with a little bit of singing last night, which I think was a little awkward for Bruce.
You guys don't get into intense conversations at all. I've already found out.
No,
they'll get on a subject, and it will be exhausted by the end of that subject. In fact, they were talking about food a little while ago, and I was so hungry after about half an hour. So,
I almost thought we were going to have a crisis. But I only had one coffee.
yeah, that is the nectar. Smart idea. This is the so this is the Zing It line, and actually there's an amp steel up there you can compare it to, but I did my ridge line out of the Zing It, and it seemed to work just fine. So to get that sag, I might increase my sag though, just for grands.
Alright guys, so we got in here late last night, and I set up my hammock in the dark, and I just kind of quickly grabbed these two trees. Made a little bit of a rookie mistake in the fact that I barely have enough space to fit my tarp between these two trees, and then when I sit down in my hammock, I have the problem that the tree on this end is a little bit kind of small, and so it bends in, making my tarp just go totally slack. So we'll be changing our location today and setting up a new spot. Alright, so I got everything moved around now, so now I want to work on a new project. Bruce from Nature Calls is up here with us, and he gave me a blank fire steel from firesteel.com and challenged me with the idea that I need to build a little handle for it. I haven't completely decided what I'm going to do with this, but that's going to be the next project on the list, so I'm pretty excited about it.
It does work, but it's not a real. It's fine on your condors.
That's your spider hook?
Yeah.
That's really light.
Super light, and
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna haul it all out, try to get as much of it out as possible because it's, yeah, actually what I probably should do is boil it, clean it all out and then boil it.
and then drink the liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Say
some
a chant.
protein.
Say a chant. I would absolutely do that. I mean, I really would boil it and drink the water if I had some Native American flute playing in the background.
Yeah, that's the only thing is we just don't have that right now.
Alright guys, so I've got my GSI kettle with my bone in there cleaning up. So I thought I'd take just a minute to kind of show you what Casey did with my old camp. He kind of turned it into a more of a community location.
This is where I wish I wasn't such a shaky person. All that good. Maybe just wiggle that a little bit. I can just let it dry and then I can use my file to clean the edges off. So we'll let that cool like that for a minute.
That's absorbing into the bone. We can even pour a little bit more on that side. That's good. That's awesome. That's what you want, I think.
Yeah, should hold it in there nice and sturdy. All right, so I would just kind of let it sit there a little bit. Let's just take our little stick here. It's gonna be cooling nicely. Yeah, I mean, that's already getting hard. Good. I bet you it's glued to the log now. So we'll just let that cool like that. In fact, I might even let it, well, I know you want to show this, well, that one's cooling pretty fast.
Yeah.
I think you can let, yeah. All right. Nice.
We all kind of came up with our own little variation, and I'll show you a close-up of all three, but I made mine out of a old piece of bone that we found laying around. And what'd you make yours out of?
We went on a field trip and we found some aspen, and we then went down to a creek and found some agates, and so I just kind of carved it out inside some agates, and that was it. Just a wood, kind of beefier one, totally different.
I chose to go the real simple. I just did a simple paracord wrap. I coated the fire steel with a little bit of the pitch glue and then wrapped paracord around it and then sealed the ends with a little bit more of the pitch glue. So it's kind of ugly, but it works pretty good.
Mission accomplished.
Hey, it worked out. So I mean, it was a fun project, and you know, we definitely, I think we all enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do, and you know, I have to admit, you know, I've watched pitch glue be made 100 times on YouTube, but I'd never made it myself. So it was kind of fun to go through that exercise, and definitely seems like it worked really well, because this thing is not coming out of here.
Yeah. All right, guys, well, I'm getting ready to take off. I've got to leave a little bit early, but I guess Nature Calls and Primal Archer are going to stay another night. But so I'm going to be heading out of here. But Bruce, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'm really glad you got a chance to come up and see the bush camp.
Yeah, learned a ton. You guys are full of it.
Yeah.
You're never full of it.
You're full of knowledge. Excellent knowledge. Excellent knowledge.
So I'll look forward to seeing the video of all the cool stuff you guys did after I left.
Yeah. It'll be amazing.
I don't know, I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of just guys sitting and enjoying the fire for the rest of the night. But yeah, it's too bad you have to go, but I'm glad you at least made it up for the one night. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a good night and a good full day today, so I had a really good time. That was really cool that you brought the fire steels, and I enjoyed doing that little project. That was something that was new. It gave us something new to do that was fun, and Primal Archer, hopefully we'll be making another trip next weekend.
Hopefully. Yeah, let me know.
All right, guys, I'm out of here.
Right on. See you later.
See you later.
Thanks again, man. I was gonna say, can you guys look really sad or something? Like just kind of look at the ground. And...
Hey girls, come on in now.
Use one on this. You know, they seem to be a good thing to use on an axe, but you know, I got this land ski that just fits inside my vest, and that's all I ever really use. Alright, so as you can hear, we got some rain going on. It's been raining since about 3 o'clock. This is going to be the last night in the bush camp for a little while, and got some other things going on. We won't be back up here for a while, and it's the last night with Bruce being up here for sure. And I really enjoyed having him up here. It's been raining most of the afternoon, so we spent a lot of time just kind of hanging out in the camp and talking, and that was, you know, just a lot of fun. And I'm really glad that he took the time to drive all the way down from Seattle to come here. It's a, you know, 5-6 hour plus drive, and look forward to maybe him coming visiting us again. So. Alright guys, so I'm up this morning. We're starting to get up at least. I got my little Espit alcohol stove going, and gonna make some hot tea. It did rain pretty much all night. It finally did stop probably a couple hours ago, so that'll be nice that at least we don't have to pack up in the rain. So anyways, I'm just gonna start getting all my stuff together and start ready to get out of here. Alright guys, so we're all packed up and we're gonna start hiking out of here. I had a fantastic time with Bruce this weekend, and I want you guys to go down in the description, check out his channel. It's called Nature Calls, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. That was fantastic.
All right.
It was just over, you know, you guys know so much and are so at ease out here. It was just awesome, relaxing, wonderful time. So thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. That was a long drive for you to come down here, so it was a lot of fun.
It was.
Thanks a lot. All right. Alright, this is Jason with the Primal Outdoors channel, and today we're headed out to do a little winter desert camping. I'm following Casey with the Coyote Works channel, and he's leading us out to a little remote area that he knows about, and we're going to camp out overnight. Alright guys, so I've got the wheeling all set up now, and what I need to do yet still is dig out some snow here in front of the wheeling so I can kind of get a fire pit set up.
I'm going to show you guys real quick, just give you a quick run around of the Wheeling and kind of show you some of the finer points of how I'm setting this up, and then we'll move on to getting this fire pit built. Alright, so to go over the Wheeling and how it's set up is, first of all, you know, I have this high line going across. That goes across between these two trees. The Wheeling's pretty heavy, the canvas is pretty heavy, and trying to get that high line tight enough to keep the Wheeling up to where I want it is a little bit tough, so that's where I like to use these pre-cut poles that I have, and they are just whipped together up here with some paracord, and I can scissor them up and down, and that allows me to adjust the pitch of the Wheeling. We're actually possibly expecting a storm tonight and maybe getting some snow, so I may want to scissor these poles down and lower the pitch of the Wheeling so that I don't have snow blowing into my camp here. On top of that, what I have done is I've taken a piece of paracord with a toggle here, and I do that on both sides, and then I pull these two scissor poles back this way, so the weight of the scissor poles is actually helping pull the Wheeling taut across the top. So here I have a pole here that's helped pulling up the awning, and I have one of those on both sides. Then from there I have a tie out that goes out and keeps those pulled out and keeps the awning taut across the top. Across the back I just use stakes to pull the Wheeling out the back, and then I also have a tie out in the back right in the center that helps pull the center of the Wheeling out the back to give you a little bit more headspace inside. Alright, so now that I've got the fire pit dug out, I'm going to start cutting some firewood. Now we got this tree right here, it's right in front of my camp. I'm going to go ahead and buck it up and use it. Normally I'd use my katana boy, and I will once I get kind of further down this tree. But I like my katana boy so well that I ended up picking up this silky big boy, and this is the medium tooth, and I was going to figure I'd show you guys real quick on the smaller sections of this tree how well this thing works. Now, like the katana boy, this only cuts on the rear stroke, so you want to make sure that you don't jam on the forward stroke, because a lot of times you'll bind and you'll bend the blade or get the blade to flex, and that will slow your cutting down. So you just want to as you can see, this thing works real nice, and it's going to be a great saw for carrying around in my expansion pack as it folds up to a nice size. And I've got a nice little pouch that attaches to the Powell's webbing on the side of my expansion pack that this fits into, and this will be a great day trip saw for me to carry around. For base camp though, I'll still rely primarily on my katana boy. Alright, I just showed you a quick look of the silky big boy, but if you guys want to see a much more in-depth look, as you can see, Casey's over there working with his silky big boy right now, and he has a medium and large tooth teeth, and he'll be doing a much more in-depth video on his channel, so watch out for that.
When I pulled the bark off the juniper tree, I was wearing gloves and didn't realize how damp it was until I tried to throw a few sparks in it.
Shitter.
After several attempts, I decided to fall back to plan B and use one of my cotton balls soaked in paraffin wax.
Here it is. We're going to see if we can let's see if we can light this with it. temperature is out here?
It's getting 25.
25? I mean, it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's quite a bit below freezing for the water to be freezing that quickly, and like our bottles and the pan and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, it's what, maybe 4,500, 5,000 feet elevation out here. I mean, we're definitely a lot higher than Bend or...
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we finally got to a point here. We got our camp set up and got firewood and everything put in, and got a fire. Getting ready to think about making some food.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry. It's always amazing how much work it is in the wintertime. Like, we've been here for, what, 4 or 5 hours? And pretty much working the whole entire time to have wood and have everything we need for the night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And then you got these short days. It's just like, it just seems like you can't work fast enough to get everything done that you want to get done, you know?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of work for one night.
It does. Yeah. But we got a long day tomorrow, and I'm actually really glad that there's as much snow and it's cold. The thing that I was worried about was that it would be muddy and soft, and it's hard to go anywhere out here. So I'm actually glad that it's as cold as it is.
Yeah, we were just talking. We think it's probably in the mid-20s Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And definitely chilly. This fire feels good. The wheeling, it's comfortable inside the wheeling. I mean, you can definitely tell once you step away from the fire and out of the wheeling, it makes a huge difference. But
yeah, it's nice. You can feel that it really kind of traps some heat back in here, and my back's not cold sitting here, and it's comfortable. Yeah, I like this setup.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying it. But anyhow, I think we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get ready to start cooking some food and just basically hang out and enjoy the fire. It's clear tonight so far. Possible storm.
Yeah, but it looks like it cleared up as the day went on. So we might get lucky. We might not get any more snow tonight.
Yeah.
Or unlucky, however you look at it.
Yeah. So, anyways, get some food going. All right, so getting ready for bed. Casey has gone over to his rooftop tent where he'll be spending his evening, and I've added a few more logs to the fire to hopefully kind of keep it burning good for a good while tonight. It really is, the temperature's really dropped. I mean, it's gotten really cold. We got clear skies. You know, it's just beautiful out, but I wouldn't doubt it if it's in the single digits Fahrenheit. And but anyhow, I'm nice and cozy warm here in the lean-to, and as long as we got a little bit of fire, and definitely happy that I've built up my sleep system so much, because it's going to be a chilly night for sure. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and cut you guys off till the morning, and we'll catch back up with you then. All right, so it's morning, and we're, kind of getting, we got the fire stoked up, and we got some water so I can get some coffee. It started snowing in the night, which required me to have to actually get up and make some adjustments to the wheeling because the snow was coming right in. So I lowered it down a little bit. The wind's coming right straight at us. I wish I would have had more time yesterday to build a fire reflector, but I just kind of ran out of time. So it's not very woodcraft bushcraft, but what I've done is parked my truck out in front of the wheeling to kind of block the wind, and that's working pretty good. Trust me, I've got it far enough away from the fire that it's not going to blow up or anything. I'm sure somebody's want to leave a comment about that, like, oh, my truck's going to blow up because I got it so close to the fire, but it's a good 6 feet away from the fire, if not more. Anyhow, so just going to have some coffee and enjoy the snow and relax for a little bit before we start to pack up and head out of here.
Oh, this coffee is super good. But I tell you what, can anyone explain to me why when you're at home and you're in your nice warm house and everything that you can sleep all through the night, but when you're out in the winter and you're in your nice cozy warm sleeping bag or whatever, that you have to get up in the night and pee like a million times? I think I got up like 10 times last night to pee. And I tell you what, it wasn't fun to get out of the bed. It's nice, warm, and cozy. Outside was not nice, warm, and cozy. All right, so we're packing up, getting ready to get out of here. Had a great little trip yesterday, great weather, really cold, but really nice. This morning we woke up, snow and wind, so really gave me an opportunity to kind of see how the Wheeling kind of held up in bad weather. It definitely has some shortcomings as far as I'm concerned, so I'm going to be doing some modifications to it here over the next 3 weeks, so look forward to that. But anyhow, like I said, we're going to get out of here. If you want to see some pictures of the trip, check out my Facebook and my Instagram, and we'll see you guys again outside. Alright, so what I got going on here is this is my complete bedroll and my tarp setup. I've got what's called a wheel and lean tarp, and then I've got my sleeping bag and a wool blanket wrapped up inside this, all up inside here. So alright, so what I'm going to do here to tighten up this tarp is I'm going to take these little loops here and I'm going to make a prusik knot. So now what I can do is I can feed this loop here through this tie out. I'm going to just use a piece of stick here. See if you can see that little piece of stick here that I'm going to use as a toggle. That's going to go through here. And then I'll pull that tight against that loop, and we'll do the same thing on both sides.
There, now it's nice and tight all the way across. Now what I gotta do is make up some stakes to stake this thing into the ground, and we'll be in pretty good shape. Alright, so now I got the shelter all set up, and you can see I've got a couple poles here that puts out this awning piece that I have. It also ties out the sides. So the wheeling gives me a nice, three-sided coverage with a little bit of a lip here to kind of help keep, rain and snow off me. I'll tuck my bed and everything as, pretty much as far back inside here as possible, and then I'll put my fire out in front, which is going to be the next thing that I'm going to have to deal with. I got to try to find some dry firewood and some stuff to get the fire going. Definitely full of resin, and we're going to use it to help us get our fire going. I want to make quite a few of these. So I'm just going to kind of hold this above it, let it start to really take. Now this old man's beard is just a little bit damp, but it looks like it's going to take okay. See what this tastes like. Smells good, but then again, what doesn't? When you're out camping and been busting your butt all day. Warm. Tastes pretty good. I mean, we didn't eat it at home, but all right. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I'm gonna go to bed. But anyhow, I think I'll just catch up with you guys in the morning. So it's morning, getting up, trying to get my boots on. Apparently got pretty cold because I think my boots are frozen. Alright, so I've kind of been out scouting around, looking around. It's just an absolutely gorgeous day today. Really enjoyed just kind of hiking around. But, you know, I'm about out of memory card and I'm about out of batteries. So I figure I'll probably just head back to camp. I'll hang out a little bit. I do have to be home today, unfortunately. Anyhow, I hope that you guys enjoyed what you've seen, and I'll see you all again outside. This is Jason with the Primal Outdoors channel, and again, you find me out in the desert doing a little expedition camping, or fancy word for car camping. But this time I picked up a Kodiak canvas Flexbow tent. This is their basic model, and this is the first time I've got a chance to use it. I did set it up once in my yard just to make sure that all the components are there and that there was no issues, but this is going to be my first camp out with it. It's currently Friday and I plan to stay through Sunday. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've really wanted one of these tents for a long time. It's made out of canvas and it's got a hydro shield coating on it, which is supposed to be really waterproof, and we'll just kind of see how that goes. I mean, I've kind of played with it a little bit myself, but we'll have to really see once we get a chance to get it out in a good driving rain. I will say this, I did set it up out in my yard and I left it up for a couple days, and we got snow and it snowed on it, and then the snow melted and there didn't seem to be any leaks or anything that I saw, so so far so good in that. But it seems, and again, I've kind of looked it over. It seems really well constructed, really heavy duty. It's a heavy tent. You're definitely not going to backpack this in. I mean, this thing weighs a lot. But I think it's a good, durable, easy to set up tent. I did, like I said, because of this is only my second time, if you notice in the time lapse, I did kind of bobble a couple times and had to put stuff together and then realize I didn't have it right and had to take it apart and redo it and put it back together. But I think as I just kind of get used to using it, I'll get smoother and smoother, and its setup will go faster and faster. It's 10 by 10. Which gives me a good amount of space to not only have my gear in here, but it gives me a good a good amount of space to set out some blankets down on the ground for my dogs, so that they can have a good warm place to lay at night. And I think, and another thing that I really like about this tent is I'm 6'4" and I can stand straight up in this tent, and that's a huge deal for me, because when you're trying to get dressed or and you're just trying to do stuff like that, it's just really nice to be able to stand straight up and not be hunched over all the time. But there's also, in this tent, it's kind of nice, there's a lot of little tie-outs all around, so you can hang things up and do different things. But like I said, it's going to take me a little bit, just kind of play with it and get used to it. But I kind of expect, you guys can expect me to do a more in-detailed video on it probably come the summer, but I imagine you're going to see this tent a lot between now and summertime. We're in 1st of January right now. It was just the 1st of January last week. And but once I get have a few months with it, used it a lot, then we'll go into a more in-depth review on the tent at that point. But like I said, you guys will probably be seeing this tent a lot. I imagine. I think I'm going to be using it a lot. I think I'm really going to enjoy it. All right, good morning. It's getting about 8:30 in the morning. Kind of been up a little bit, festing around, made some breakfast. It's been snowing all morning. It was snowing a little bit harder this morning, but I just kind of went out and took a couple of shots just now, and it does seem like it's kind of slowing down a little bit, and maybe even looks like it might even try to, the clouds might even try to break up. It looks like the sun's kind of trying to break through a little bit in some areas, but okay. All right, so Casey from the Coyote Works channel has joined me for my last evening. He actually showed up this morning, but we did take off and we were gone for most of the day on a little adventure that's going to be, shared on another video that we're both pretty excited about.
You guys are going to watch that. It's a little bit different than what you're used to seeing from us, but it was a pretty exciting little adventure, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe just a little teaser is there is a pretty significant event going on in our state, and we got to go kind of check it out and get some footage and everything, but definitely look forward to that. And as far as the evening, we're just kind of hanging out, enjoying the fire. I have my Pendletons as usual.
I'm drinking my Dasani.
It's Dasani water, and but anyways, and also look forward to another campfire talk. If you guys enjoyed that on my channel, we did another one of those. It's going to be on Casey's channel. And but as it is right now, we're just going to hang out a little bit longer here by the fire, and then we'll catch up with you guys again in the morning.
I'll have that campfire talk video up on the Coyote Works channel in the next couple of days, so you guys can watch for that. And we're just spending a little bit of time doing one of our favorite things in the world, sitting around the campfire and solving all the problems of the world.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll catch up with you guys in the morning. All right, good morning guys. So this is, well, be day 3 out here. Just starting to kind of pack things up a little bit. And get things situated, start heading home. Back to kind of what this video is about. And it was kind of about, you know, my first time out using this Kodiak canvas tent, and right now I'm really happy. I'm really liking it, you know. And there's some things that now that I've got a chance to use it a couple days, that I'm thinking that I might want to do to help, especially in cold weather. It probably would be very possible to put a stove jack in here and run a little like ammo can stove or something like that, but I really don't want to go that route right now. I've got a propane heater in here right now, but it just runs on these little bottles of propane, and so it doesn't last very long. So I think what I'm going to do is just get a hose adapter that will allow me to hook a actual regular 5-pound or 5-gallon tank, whatever they are, to my heater, so that way I can run a little bit of heat through the night. We had a couple really cold nights, and my dogs, I could tell, were pretty chilly, and I want to try to keep it at least comfortable for them, and more comfortable for me as well. But I think this is going to be a great all-season tent for me, and something I'll be able to enjoy, you know, not only in the dead of the winter like this, but it has a lot of ventilation, and I think it will be a great tent for the summer as well. So you know, you guys will be seeing this tent a lot, and like I said, once I have a little bit more experience with this tent, kind of using it, I will do a really in-depth you know, video on the tent, so that those that are maybe also interested in purchasing one can really kind of get a good feel for it. But until then, we'll see you guys outside.
What do you think about a place like this? Obviously we're out in an area where there's really very little terrain or cover, but I was thinking these rim rocks might help a little bit. Might be able to get tucked back up underneath, you know, one like that over there or something. Alright, so we finally got a chance to sit and relax a little bit. Got some dinner cooking on the grills. Yeah, that looks really good. And but anyways, we got out here. We're out in the desert again. This time we're in a little bit more wide open area. Yep, we're probably at least a mile or so from the nearest tree. Yeah, so we ended up having to drive out to go find a little grove of pines, and we went out a down pine with our Silky big boys and cut up a whole mess of firewood. And we kind of joked because we're out here for one night, and it's kind of like, did we come out here to camp or did we come out here to process wood? Because that's what it felt like we spent the whole day doing. But we probably spent about 2 hours, 2.5 hours processing wood out there. Yeah,
But anyhow, we finally, we got the camp set up. Casey's in his rooftop tent as normal, and again, I'm out enjoying my new Kodiak canvas tent, and I'm really liking that. I think as it is, we're just gonna, kick back by the fire, and we're gonna finish cooking our dinner. What do we have for dinner tonight, Casey?
We've got some ground goat going on the fire, thanks to my friend Seth. Grumpy, we're eating Grumpy.
Eating Grumpy, okay, yeah. Well, Grumpy looks very delicious.
That's what I was thinking. It's
so,
cooking nicely.
Anyhow, I think we'll just kind of kick it here by the fire. We're both enjoying a bottle of kombucha, and just gonna enjoy being out here. All right, let's try some of this goat. Yeah.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really, really good. All right, good morning. Beautiful morning out here on the desert. Sun's coming up. We got a nice clear day. Kind of sat up and watched the sunrise a little bit. Got to hear a few coyotes calling off in the background. Enjoying some coffee. It just doesn't really get any better than this, I gotta tell you. Just absolutely beautiful. I see that Casey's up moving around, so we're gonna get a fire going and start making some breakfast.
Eggs and bacon, one of my favorite breakfasts out in the desert, and there's only a little bit of charcoal in it. Just adds that little crunch.
I had a really great time on this trip, as I usually do when I'm out with Casey. And again, my Kodiak Canvas Flexpo tent worked out great, giving me a great shelter, especially in this open desert environment. And its easy setup and quick takedown makes it an ideal tent for short overnights or long multi-day trips. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at Casey and I's little desert expedition. And be sure to check out Casey's video on this trip by clicking in the upper right hand corner. And I'll see you again outside.